while he's doing that, deck the halls with boughs of holly. 'Tis the season to be jolly. So today we're talking about decorations. Well done for joining in. And just yesterday afternoon, as Roger's already said, a lot of us spent a couple of hours enabling the local community to make decorations, and they love it. They love making decorations to take home. So to begin with, we're going to get Sue to bring a reading to us, and if you can make a connection, because it will make sense at the end, way more tenuous than the one this morning in community time, okay, but just bear with. Sue's going to read because she loves reading the Bible. It will make sense.
Genesis 1, verses 1 to 5. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, decorations! Excellent. So, decorations, we all have them. They're a lot of fun, a lot of them. And a lot of them, there's rumour or evidence that they're based in pagan backgrounds. But the main thing I think I know about decorations is, if you have lived with anyone outside your nuclear family, there are some strong opinions, aren't there? Who already has their decorations up? And who does not yet? Okay, traditionalists. Caitlin Moran wrote in November, so bear in mind that this was written in the autumn, has written the following little article. Early Christmas. This is what we must believe is happening, given Spotify revealed that even before Bonfire Night was over, there were already people deep in Wham's Last Christmas and Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. Indeed, these two songs have proved so popular in autumn. It's still autumn. There are still leaves on the tree. It's autumn. That last week, they made it into the UK top 40 at number 37 and number 40, respectively. This is the earliest charting of a Christmas song. For those who study pop music, Carey in the top 40 on November the 10th is the equivalent to ornithologists spotting swallows in February or botanists coming across snowdrops in August. It's all weird. To paraphrase Eric Morecambe, it's all the right seasonal markers, just not necessarily in the right order. Obviously, it doesn't do to complain or resist. Such a reaction is technically known as grinching. And no one wants to be accused of that. Instead, those of us whose upbringings were very strict about these things, parents who would clap their ears over their ears and wail too soon if we broached the possibility of ballerina Cindy's possibly running out if they weren't purchased ASAP, and lofts with strictly embargoed until December the 1st stickers on the tinsel, must try and relax and go with the flow. Because let's be honest, the only reason we feel uncomfortable with early Yuling is because we were denied it as children. As children, we would have adored a world where Christmas was 2 months long, everything was covered in twinkling lights, all songs had sleigh bells on, and a big tin of Quality Street turned up open on the kitchen sideboard on November the 12th because there's a deal on Asda right now. I feel like collectively, early Christmasing has the potential to be very therapeutic. Why insist on grinding through a normal November without lights, Mariah and chocolate, just because society says we shouldn't? As my sister once said, what is society? It's just people. And the people of society have spoken. They want Mariah Carey on November the 7th. Christmas now starts as soon as you put your pumpkin in the bin. And why not? So that is about early Christmas. Now, I grew up with a mum who was a stickler for the 12 days. We would go to bed on the night before Christmas Eve with the house completely normal. And we would wake up, this is when we were all quite young, we would wake up on Christmas Day to a magical transformation. The tree was up, my dad did these streamers on the ceiling. It was just incredible, and it was magical, and it was beautiful. And the whole house was transformed, as if by magic, and a lot of hard work from my parents, overnight. The house hadn't been dark before, but there was this huge contrast with how it looked now. Another thing we sort of debate about quite a lot is how much decoration in the house. So my friend Mike's mum, if it is staying still, it has tinsel around it. Okay, everything. Some people will have a tree and that's about it. Yeah? So things that we might have. Oh yeah, and also, when do you keep it up till? I mean, traditionally 12th night. I'm always a bit confused about whether that's the 5th or 6th of January because I don't really care. Lots of people keep them up for ages. Lots of people, Boxing Day, they're like, yeah, I'm done with Christmas now. It started in November, and off it all goes. We've all got our own opinion. You might have holly with berries behind the pictures. You might have mistletoe. When I grew up a little bit, we changed houses, and we had a Victorian house with 13-foot high ceiling on the ground floor, and we had this mistletoe bough. It was amazing. So my dad made this wire ball, and it was all had greenery and kind of tinsely bits around it, and a candle in the middle, and mistletoe underneath, and it was still super high, and it was magical. Could never fit that in any of my houses, but it's a really amazing thing. You might have more candles than usual, or more scented candles than usual, and fairy lights everywhere. You might have a wreath on your door. You might have bells. You might have candy canes, either on the Christmas tree or elsewhere. You might have stockings on a fireplace for decoration rather than in anticipation. You might have a nativity set. More recently, you might get gnomes, or I think some shops call them gonks. And outside, you could have light-up or inflatable characters and more lights. And yet the most common, and I would say open to contention, object of all is this. It's going to come, it's going to come. Is it not running? If it's not, don't worry. The Christmas tree. I don't know how many families have little arguments about this when they come together as a new family unit, but I've lived with a few different families, and there's a lot of opinions about this. Hands up for real. Hands up for fake. If real, hands up for traditional smells like Christmas, and hands up for the convenience of a no drop. Yeah? So even with that, there's things. Hands up if you have, as Chandler was talking about, the coloured lights of childhood. Very few. Hands up if you have white lights or something of that ilk, like bluey, whitey, whatever, yeah? Warm white, middle class Cheltenham, warm white. Hands up if you do have tinsel. Yeah. Did you know tinsel used to be a status symbol because it was made of real silver? Oh, that's your one historical fact, people. There might be a couple more. Who has an alternative like the little beads or something like that? And who just doesn't do anything? Like tinsel-esque. Yeah. Who has a colour-coordinated, themed, beautiful, classic tree like this? And who can claim, much like me, that if you can name a colour that's not on my tree, you're not trying hard enough? Who has handmade, child-made decorations that they put up with pride? And with pride. And who has handmade, child-made decorations that they put up reluctantly? Okay, I did a straw poll at the office, and there were 2 people in the office that love all their kids' awful decorations all over their tree. There were 2 people that their kids had their own trees in their bedrooms, little fake trees, with their decorations on. There were 2 people that are like, nah, they've kind of gone missing. And then Izzy, who's 21 and wanted to join in the poll, was like, my mum still puts my childhood decorations on and I hate it. So that was my straw poll. Hannah Whitcomb has given me permission to say this. Dun Alley has a habit in reception, of creating these massive cardboard bauble shapes with a centre photograph of the child. She has one in black, one in orange, and one in yellow, very Christmassy colours for her coordinated tree. And they are generally found round the back. They are on the tree, but they're generally found round the back. Did you hear that? They're like by the, they're hidden anyway. When you've done the tree, are you going to stop it with a star or an angel or a fairy or something completely alternative? And since the very late 70s in America, so it is obviously coming over here, do you have a little glass pickle hidden somewhere in your tree? The tradition in America is there's little, you'll see them in some shops now, little glass kind of gherkiny pickle, And it's hidden somewhere in the tree, and the first person to find it is the person who opens the first gift. That has become quite a big tradition in America. Guarantee it'll be over here soon. I love walking past houses and seeing the decorations. I get quite cross when the curtains are closed or the tree is not in the window. I'm like, share the joy. Where is the light that we all want in this dark time? So, Sue read us a not common Christmas reading, I admit. But this one may be a little bit more familiar. This is John 1, 1 to 5. And it's very deliberately echoing the one we've just heard. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. God was the one before all things. And the very first thing he made by speaking was light. He knows we need it, but sometimes we don't even recognize we're in the darkness. My house did not feel dark the night before Christmas Eve, but boy, did it feel alive with light on Christmas Eve. We really need light to thrive, and we need God to thrive. They are the two most important things to humanity. Now, haven't mentioned much about the pre-Christ Christmas, if you see what I mean, the festivals that happened before, but pagans sacrificed to the gods of summer in the midwinter because they had no guarantee that summer was going to come again. Their gods were capricious. They didn't necessarily do what you wanted. And they were desperate for summer to come again because that's when they had crops and they had warmth from the sun and they had all these other wonderful things we love about the summer. And they had no hope of that returning. They had to ensure it did by the sacrifice. God is the Word, and he spoke and made all things. And he is the light, and darkness cannot quench it. And we have a hope. The sacrifice was made in Jesus when that little baby was all grown up. And even in these decorations, some of which have pagan roots, we can find God if we look. The holly with berries is the crown of thorns and the blood. The mistletoe, the reason it's used in the winter is because it thrives in the winter. It has berries in the winter. And sometimes we just need to know God's there, even in the hard times, even in the times that feel a bit barren. Candles and fairy lights are light. The wreaths are usually circular, and they represent eternal life because they just go on and on and on. The bells could be a call to prayer. Candy canes are in the shape of a shepherd's hook. Stockings are an unexpected gift from the history of St. Nicholas, like dropping the coins. And Jesus is the most unexpected gift of all, as David was saying last week. The nativity set, if you need help with that one, guys, come and see me after, because I'm a little bit worried about you. And outside, all those inflatable characters and things, there's just joy in them, and God is the God of joy. You can find God wherever you look if you ask. No one asks to turn the dark off. Sometimes we don't even realize it is dark, but the wonder of the light becomes amazing when you see it and when you get to experience it. And we, as humans, are seeking a permanent light source. Most of us love standing with the sun on our face when we're cold because it's warming and beautiful and life-giving. And we all know that we suffer from vitamin D deficiency in this country in the winter because we don't have enough light. We're made for light. It's made for us. And as the carol goes, light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking your way, Rog. Well done. And anyone else who joined in that I didn't see, thank you. So, it's not a difficult concept, this one. If you want that light and the God who made it, please come and pray with us. You could have Jesus permanently in your life. He is God, and he is light, and he's the light that the darkness cannot extinguish. And he would like most for his birthday for you to be in relationship with him. If you do know that you're living with that light all year round and you want to be reminded of it more in the normal everyday things, in the wreath and the mistletoe and the double yellow lines and the washing detergent, if you want to see him everywhere, come for prayer, come to be inspired, come to be woken up to the light. We get really used to the light. It's an absolute embarrassment as a mature Christian that sometimes you've just taken it for granted. Like, how many people really notice these fairy lights anymore? Okay, how many people don't notice them anywhere near as much as they did when they were first put up? Okay, so some of you are way holier than others, okay. But if you want to see God more, if you want to be inspired, if you want to be reminded that the light's around, we would love to pray for you. And if you feel like the light's not shining right now, whether that be through circumstances or anything else, we would love to pray with you as well. Because the light is there. The light is ours. And the light is not just to look out through the windows in Christmas time. The light is permanent.